It is great to be back. It's been a little while since my last video, and I'm finally getting back into things now. End of season doldrums got to me a little bit, and between that and a generally busy life, I've struggled a little bit to get work on some production done. So, new season starts in a few days, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. And with any luck, we'll get back to a weekly scheduled basis. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about catalysts again. Guardian Games is wrapping up its second year, and with it came a brand new catalyst for Heir Apparent, and it's no slouch either. I'd say the shield buff is a massive improvement on the whole concept of making you feel like a tank while laying down a hail of fire. So that got me thinking, what other weapons could really benefit from a catalyst? Welcome back to the Scrub Hub, and today we're going to be going over some of my ideas for catalysts that Bungie should consider. Before I continue, please remember that this video is just me really having a chat with you guys about things I'd like to see in the game, and that what I'm saying is by no means in the game right now, or even been mentioned as a possibility of being added. Ultimately, this video will probably never matter, I just think it's fun to talk about anyway. This is more the kind of thing that you'd find my friends and I talking about in passing, imagining possibilities or things we'd love to see in the game, but are by no means things that Bungie has even mentioned. Alrighty, so with that little disclaimer, let's get right to it. First exotic I'd love to see have a catalyst added would be Traveler's Chosen. This exotic sidearm was added about a year ago and is the king of ability regen. The exotic perk grants you stacks of light for every kill you get, 1 for adds and 3 for guardians in the Crucible. This stacks all the way up to 10, and at that point, consuming those light stacks will grant full ability energy for all 3 of your abilities. So far, as a potential catalyst for Traveler's Chosen, I've got a few ideas that I think could work. At its core, Traveler's Chosen gives you 2 choices. Stack the buff and hang on to it to buff your weapon, or use the buff and regain ability energy. So when thinking of catalysts for this gun, I thought of ways you could reward those 2 gameplay pathways. Perhaps the bonus could be when you have all 10 stacks of light, consuming it grants a damage bonus to your abilities next time you use them. I think this would be a great way to reward stacking all the way up to 10 and provide some interesting combination possibilities with mods like Oppressive Darkness or other seasonal artifact mods. Another possibility that I think could work well would be if the catalyst added the perk Wellspring, which grants a small amount of ability energy per kill to whichever abilities need it. So while you're gaining stacks of light, you're also gaining small chunks of ability energy along the way. That way, you can still pursue the larger energy buffs by consuming the stacks, but you're also gaining some as you climb back up. Wellspring just seems like a natural and synergistic choice for this one to me, and I think it could go either way. Incentivize hanging on to it, or reward getting all 10 and using all 10 stacks at once. Next weapon I think could really use a catalyst is Thunderlord. Thunderlord is a classic Destiny 1 arc machine gun that creates explosions upon kills, as well as spins up the longer you hold down the trigger. So it's actually pretty effective for both ad clear and dealing with majors based on those 2 perks. My main problem with Thunderlord right now though, and more broadly all machine guns, is that other heavy weapons just output much more damage much more efficiently. So for the catalyst, that's the main problem I'd like to see it address. Seeing as holding down the trigger raises your DPS because it's firing faster, I think the catalyst should enhance that perk and should reward going all out. So for the first catalyst idea, I think 4th time's the charm would work really well here. Every 4 precision hits, you get 2 rounds back in the mag. It rewards you for laying on the trigger, but it isn't just a plain damage buff or something that requires no effort to activate. This way, you're rewarded with a larger magazine and better total DPS if you can land your shot consistently. I think this has some fair trade-offs as well, seeing that it isn't necessarily a given fact that you'll hit every precision shot. Thunderlord does kick a lot when it's fully spun up, but to me, using Thunderlord is the most fun when it's firing at full speed and just burning through health. So if they introduced a perk that extended the time you could do that, yeah, I'm all in. And I think either triple tap or 4th time's charm would achieve that kind of nicely. Third weapon I'd like to see get a catalyst is Malfeasance, however you say that word. The Beyond Light hand cannon buff to 180 RPM hand cannons helped this thing out a lot, bumping the mag size from 15 to 20, but I still think this beautiful hand cannon is a little bit lacking. The primary perk for Malfeasance states that landing 5 rounds on a target causes those 5 shots to explode and do quite a bit of extra damage. You also do a little bit of extra damage to Gambit Invaders, which is a painfully specific perk. The first perk is nice for PvE, but it's a little flawed. While the damage is good, it does beg the question, why use this exotic hand cannon for dealing with majors when I could just use a special weapon and do the same thing but better? Malfeasance certainly does have better ease of use, but it generally just ends up being boxed out of PvE loadouts because it's not very practical. Primaries are good for clearing ads, and specials are good for majors and above. Malfeasance really does only an okay job at dealing with majors and sort of lands in the middle of the pack here. But this is kind of where I'd like to see the Catalyst improve on things. Obviously Bungie would have to be careful that it doesn't just outclass special weapons, but I think a buff is still in order. Perhaps the Malfeasance Catalyst could create a weakening debuff on a target after the first burst of 5 rounds explodes on a target. Not a huge buff or anything, since weapons like Divinity still need a place in the sandbox, but something that incentivizes actually using the gun and bumps the damage a little bit. Maybe if you had other Malfeasance users, it could stack with their debuff in a diminishing progression. So maybe the first debuff is 10% extra damage, second is 20%, third is 25%, and so on. There's really a lot of room for ideas on this one, and I'd love to hear your opinions on it. It's one of my favorite hand cannons, but I don't hardly ever use it, because it's really not great. Fourth weapon on my list is Monarch. I think this one serves its role fairly well in PvP, and I think it would take only the finest tuning accident to turn this bow into a one-shot menace, so we're going to steer away from a PvP-oriented catalyst for now. I do think Monarch can be lackluster compared to some of its other counterparts. I love using it, and the gigantic purple explosions keep me coming back, but sometimes it's just not enough. Trinity Ghoul and TQ's Divination both do their job better, and also differently. For Monarch's Catalyst, I'd love to see something like a version of Rapid Hit mixed with Dragonfly spec. Perhaps it could increase reload speed, but also progressively increase the damage and radius of the Poison Blast after hitting a crit. This would help increase single target damage a little bit while also helping increase its ad clearing capabilities. I can't say that I really have specific numbers in mind, but just some increase in buff that would make you really consider which exotic bow you want to use. I like Monarch a lot, but I think it could use a little love in our current PvE sandbox. Also an ornament. Please add a Bright Dust obtainable ornament bungo. Please. Please. Alright, and for my fifth and final catalyst, I have Arvolest. This gun honestly just makes me upset. Getting killed by it in trials is very triggering and is also kind of mediocre in PvE, especially with Bungie removing its shield bypass damage in Season 14. Its ability to penetrate shields in PvE is also rendered incredibly useless in anything beyond low tier strikes, since Match Game completely neutralizes it by buffing all enemy shields. Considering there are weapons that can switch between elements already, I think Bungie should just start by increasing the shield damage so it's not useless in match game situations. Balancing issues aside though, I think a really fun catalyst would be something that decreases the time it takes to charge and fire a shot after breaking a shield, effectively raising its rate of fire. Arvolest already has Disruption Break, which is synergistic with itself since it's a kinetic weapon, and I think this would play back into the exotic perk and Disruption Break quite nicely. This would effectively increase its burst DPS for a short time. Obviously I don't want to see this thing be the one-size-fits-all option, so it would probably just have to be a modest increase. But I really enjoy when weapons have a sense of momentum and reward when focusing on a target. Weapons with Desperado or Thunderlord or Risk Runner are all weapons I really like using because you activate the perk and it becomes a brief frenzy to find your next target and unleash on them. I think you could develop a similar feeling with Arvolest here if after breaking a shield you could just rapid hit slam a tough enemy with the rest of the magazine. When it comes to using Arvolest in PvE, sometimes I find myself just getting bored, so I think this would go a long way to making this gun more fun to use. And there you have it, all 5 of my ideas for catalysts on weapons that could either really use it or just be a lot more fun with one. Sorry again this took so long to get out there, life has been kinda hectic lately. As always though, I appreciate you watching, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe for some more Destiny videos. I do videos ranging from guides, to builds, and other fun stuff. Don't forget to like and comment too before you leave, I really enjoy hearing from you. What are your ideas on this topic? What are some catalysts you'd like to see, or what are your thoughts on my ideas? I think that'll just about do it for today. Hope you have an awesome day, I'll catch you guys in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.